a devoted mother of three, brutally stabbed and bound in her own home. Her children, the first to discover her lifeless body, a mysterious stranger seen lurking nearby, and an eerie phone call foreshadowing the horror to come. Was this a random act of violence or a carefully planned murder? Over 50 years later, the case of Leota Camp remains a haunting mystery. And the most chilling part, the killer may have walked away, never looking back. Leota May Hodges Camp was the heart of her family. Born in 1942 in Kirksville, Missouri, she married her high school sweetheart, Ray Camp, in 1961. Together, they built a quiet life in Des Moines, Iowa, raising their 3 children, Kevin, Brenda, and newborn Christine. On the morning of July 10th, 1967, life in the Camp household seemed perfectly ordinary. Leota kissed her husband goodbye as he left for work. By noon, her 2 oldest children, Kevin and Brenda, were playing outside, while 3-month-old Christine lay on a blanket inside. But within hours, their world would be shattered forever. Kevin and Brenda ran inside for lunch, but something was off. Their mother was nowhere in sight. Then they stepped into the front bedroom. Their mother lay face down on the bed, a knife sticking out of her back. The bed was soaked in blood. Little Kevin, just 4 years old, grabbed the knife and pulled it out before he and Brenda ran screaming into the street. "Mommy's bleeding." Neighbors Mary Grow and Nellie Edwards ran to the house, and what they found was a scene straight out of a nightmare. Leota was bound at her wrists, neck, and ankles, neckties wrapped tightly around her fragile body. A 4th tie had been stuffed into her mouth as a gag, and those 4 stab wounds, each one piercing deep into her lungs, had drained the life from her. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. Ray Camp, her husband, was called to Broadlawn's Polk County Hospital, where he was met with every husband's worst nightmare. Witnesses reported a suspicious man in the neighborhood that morning. A stocky, tan-skinned stranger in his 20s, driving a black Ford Mustang, was seen walking into the camp house, uninvited. Then, just before noon, he was gone. But there's something even more disturbing. Weeks before her murder, Leota received a chilling phone call. The male voice on the other end asked, "Where you been?" When she answered, the caller responded with a vulgar remark before hanging up. Their number wasn't listed. So how did he find them? Was this just a prank, or was someone watching her? Detective Robert Weichman worked tirelessly on the case. Police received over 500 tips after the suspect's sketch was released. But despite all efforts, and even a cash reward from Ray Camp, no arrests were ever made. Some theories emerged. Could the killer have been a disturbed stranger? A burglar caught off guard? Or was this something far more sinister? Decades later, a man studying serial killer James Mike Mitchell de Bartleben saw the suspect sketch and noticed an eerie resemblance. Could the infamous murderer have been responsible, or was it mere coincidence? Then there's the chilling claim from a neighbor, Carol Weatherich, who believes she was the intended target. She had left home the morning of the murder and returned to find the horror at the camp house. Carol was so shaken, she even bought a German Shepherd for protection. Was this a case of mistaken identity? Or is there a far darker story lurking beneath the surface? Brenda Camp, now an adult, still lives in Des Moines, but has never driven past her childhood home. The memories are too painful, and for Ray Camp, who passed away in 2024, his biggest regret was never seeing justice for his beloved wife. Even after remarrying, he held on to hope that one day the truth would come out. But now the burden falls on us. Who was the man in the Mustang? Was the obscene caller the same person who stole Leota's life? And why, after all these years, has no one been caught? The answers may still be out there. So now we ask you, do you have a theory? Let us know in the comments below. And if you believe this case deserves justice, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because some stories should never be forgotten.